Okay, hi. We're wandering into the territory of heartfulness. We've done mindfulness, we've done bodyfulness. Do you remember we're on this fulfillment pyramid jag right now, aren't we? And we're looking at the slope of self care. We've done the slope of relationships, loving unafraid. We've moved to the second slope of Freedom Mountain, which is self care. And we all have we recognize that we have a body. We talked about that first, and we talked about the mind and mindfulness and all the various ways in which we can go to the gym of the mind and the gym of the body. And now we're going to exercise our options on the heartfulness. And the heartfulness is a way of saying, another way of saying heartfulness is that we have three hearts actually. And I'm hoping to clear up any kind of misunderstanding about the way these hearts are engaged in your life and are operational in your life, and it might get create some clarity for you to be able to make some distinctions between the different kinds of hearts and the different roles that they play. So leave this for now. So we're talking about three different kinds of hearts. So there's the mind, there's our fulfillment pyramid, there's the heart, there's the body. We're talking about three different kinds of heart. I'm laying them out here like this. We're going to talk some more about number one, the first kind of love, which is we're really going to talk about the emotions, and we're going to talk about feelings and just generally speaking and put some context to that. The next video, we're going to talk some more about psyche and soul. As Yeats says, we have to have a friendship between self and soul. Self and soul is our mind, is our personality of the our competitive nature, our comparison nature, but also some really great things about getting shite done, and really being engaged in our to-do list and making a difference in the world. But we have a soul that dreams big and wants to contribute and wants to understand the deepest meaning in our life and how it is that we are related to this fabulous world. Have you noticed I'm out here I'm at the cottage in Ontario, just outside Parry Sound, and I've been blessed enough to be able to come here in the summer for almost 20 years, and before that, a chunk of time as well. And very lucky to be surrounded by here. The downside is I'm a bit shady, aren't I? Not deliberately shady. I'm not a shady guy, but I've got shade on me, and there's a little bit of dappled light, so do apologize. I just couldn't wait to talk about this stuff with you. So, let's keep going. I want to say that if we do this well, we start to move from our old brain, our old primitive brain. 99.9% of our existence have been in this, fight, flight, survival, fight, flight, freeze, find, fake, or modern day versions of it, of us, coming out of the swamp. Biological evolution has us, gradually coming, into our prefrontal cortex, maybe 70, 80, 100,000 years ago, but that's the new brain over here. But the old brain, we're mostly triggered by that. It's fairly active. And of course, it gets activated by fear and anger and shame and guilt. I mean, those are some of the highlight obvious ones. I keep pushing this up here because I want it to stick. I don't want it to fall off. This is my makeshift studio. And but the idea is that these can all come as a result of just poor training, poor upbringing, unfortunate circumstances, a lot of sorrow. And so fear and anger and shame and guilt are kind of the louder so-called negative emotions. Now we can transform those over, and that's the whole idea here. I want you to see these are more reactionary, survival mechanism emotions, and over here, this is more our ability to respond. This is more our responses, and our responses are more like love and joy and peace and compassion. And we need to reestablish some good, healthy yes and no's boundaries as we move these emotions along into artwork or into a therapy where you get some help or overcome or challenge your fears or learn how to use anger in a useful way. And the upside of shame is really being seen. And so if you've been shamed in your life, you've been secretly trained on what really being seen is all about. You'll have to excuse the boats and the noise of the boats driving by here. And of course, if you're Irish like I am, you've got a good healthy dose of guilt So what we want to say about this is that in our heart, this is the one heart that we're talking about, is more based on our outside emotions, okay? And I mean that in terms of like our outside heart. It's the heart that we engage with the world with. You know, it's the one that everyone knows is the romantic love. It's the one that we bump into with our partners in our marriage and our kids. And we do bump into these things. We do sometimes end up in a mean-spirited roadside house, you know, because we've been traumatized, we've been abandoned, rejected, and all those things. And we're saddled with that. And you'll see in the second installment here, Psyche as a way of, she wants to keep going back to get that resolved because you got knocked off on your horse, and you know, when you were abandoned, and you want to. Psyche wants to keep going back so you get back, you can get your yeses and nos and your boundaries reestablished. She wants you to move the emotions. Emotion is just moving these things along into something, turning them into art, poetry, something. And so a lot of good things happen there when people take care of that. And then that brings us across this bridge into our ability to be able to respond differently. Instead of hair trigger response, 0 to 10 in a split second, anger and you know, oppression and we feel like we're being violated again and all that from, very real things that have happened. So coming across into the new brain, coming up into the prefrontal cortex, let's say 73,000 years ago, 73,000 years ago, let's say, we developed this new brain, and we now have access in the prefrontal cortex to peace, love, joy, compassion. So there is a lot more we can say about the heart, but this outside heart, I want you to consider as the white heart. It's the heart that's out during the daytime. This psyche, this soul is dark, it's black. It's like a dark, not dark as an evil, but no, it's the darkness of our deepest vision for our life, where the meaning and gift and purpose is for our life, and how we're connected with that. So these are three different, I'm saying these are three different kinds of heart. This is a white heart, the outside heart. The psyche soul is the very interior, the one when we go to sleep, we go into that darkness, that deep reservoir of vitality, of nourishment, of home, of belonging. And then the third heart is, how do we do both? There's a boat going by. How do we dance the rhythm of both? That's the third heart. The third is connecting with self. So think two circles together, like we did, and this is, so the one heart, the two heart, and then this is three, isn't it? Can you see that? That's three. And this three is this third heart that we now, because we're constantly moving out into the world saying hi, and then we move back in. Does that agree with me? Now here's what I need to say. And we're constantly doing this anyway. We're sleeping, we're waking up, we're talking, we're quiet, we're engaged, and now we're passive. So there's this weave going on, conscious weaving, conscious dancing, bringing consciousness and thrival emotions, thrival technologies to this world. Brings everything into order, reestablishes it. So this is the first layer. I want to say the first layer of the heart, the first heart is the white heart, the one that we mostly know from movies and from our own experiences of working through stuff. And it's very much based on actions as well, expectations and obligations and duty and doing the right thing in the village and all the rest of it. Does that make sense? Join me in the next one. We're going to talk about psyche and soul.